Welcome to Mindful Objective, the podcast where we uncover the root causes of health issues as we explore holistic solutions to help you reclaim your health. I'm Dr. Daniel Sproul, an integrative health practitioner and professor. Join me and a special guest, Geraldo Ortega, on today's episode of Real Talk as we talk all about food tracking, why it's important, how it benefits your health, and which tools can help you succeed. At Mindful Objective, we believe in looking for the complete picture, understanding the root cause, and understanding natural approaches to restore balance. A quick medical disclaimer: this podcast is for informational, educational purposes only, and we do not diagnose, cure, or treat any illness. So again, welcome, Geraldo. How you doing?
Well, once again, thanks again for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Well, how you doing work-wise? It's pretty nice in this weather.
For work-wise, it is great. This is when we mailmen thrive the best. Not too hot, not too cold. It's just right.
Yeah, for those not in the Chicagoland area, we've been having some warm weather. Well, it was warm weather. We had a great day that was around like 65 degrees or so. And of course, days after, it's down to 30, 40 degrees. But we're back to reality.
They give you a little teaser. Hey, this is what you might have. But then they'll go ahead and kind of put in the cold weather again.
Yeah, that has to drive you insane, though.
Oh, yeah.
So you dress differently for each kind of weather conditions?
Yes, I have my winter gear layers, and then I'll have like my spring layers, and then obviously it's the heat, it's just very minimal layers to my shirt and my shorts.
Yeah, that got to be fun. Now, so how's the family doing?
We're all doing great. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so we'll jump into this. Let's start with why food tracking matters. A lot of people don't take this seriously, but it's important to track your food. So food is more than just fuel. It provides essential nutrients that support your body's overall function. However, many people don't realize how much they're consuming, what nutrients they are lacking, or how different foods affect their health. Food tracking helps bring awareness to the factors, empowering individuals to make more informed choices about their nutrition and lifestyle. So question, Geraldo, what motivated you to start tracking your food and drink intake?
The fact that I would be on top of my game of my supplements, taking my daily minerals, but at a certain point in the morning, I would still feel off. Like I wasn't focused. Even though I thought the banana in the morning on my way to work was enough, I realized it still wasn't enough. Like I was obviously doing something wrong.
Did you ever have anybody complain to you all the time you need to start tracking your food for like the past year?
Yes, I definitely got an earful from you telling me, hey, this is exactly why you need to track down your food. So I did.
Yeah. So food tracking is a valuable tool, but it should not replace professional healthcare advice. It can be useful to identifying eating patterns, monitoring nutrient intake, and maintaining accountability. But it should always be used in conjunction with guidance from a healthcare provider, particularly for individuals managing medical conditions. Mainly with Geraldo, you don't really have medical conditions, but in general, food tracking is very important. So one of the issues is Geraldo a lot of times dealing with struggle of weight loss. Again, he was walking 13 miles a day. And if you heard on the last podcast of Real Talk, 13 miles is a lot. You need a lot of calories for that. So just, was there a specific moment when you realized you really, really need to pay closer attention?
Yeah, it's just just like I always said, it's me on top of my game with everything, my supplements, my minerals, but I'm still feeling off. So that's when I reached out to you again, like I do every day. And I got an earful telling me this is exactly why you and anybody else out there either dealing with weight gain or dealing with weight loss need to track their intake.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I tell clients all the time, even pre-clients, anybody that reaches out or say on this podcast, a lot of people do not understand what they're consuming. So one of the things you got to do is, hey, I'm having health issues here. I'm gaining a lot of weight, or, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's causing these issues. Well, what did you eat? Now you hear always people say, I don't remember, right? I mean, that's a common thing. So if I asked you, would you have, if you're not tracking this stuff, and I asked you, would you have, 2 Wednesdays ago that caused, back pain issues? What would you say?
Yeah, I wouldn't know. This is why it's key to start. And I am going forward, I am tracking all my food and all my intakes and all my calories just because I want to know what's happening in my own body, just to make sure that I'm taking the correct food, the correct nutrition intake.
Yeah, because you see it too. Like, I mean, think of bodybuilders. They're probably the only ones that really track everything, right? Because they're focused. They have a specific goal in mind, right? They want to gain more weight and stuff too. But without that, they wouldn't know how much protein did I eat? What did I eat yesterday compared to today? You know, hey, I'm going to work harder today in the gym. Well, okay, you need to eat more, you know, vice versa. But a lot of times when people come to me or say they send me an email or send one to one of our health coaches inquiring, you know, hey, I'd like to get started. The first thing we always do is, you know, here's a link to one of these apps. You should start keeping track of your food before we even talk. Because this way, when we get on a call, you could kind of say, well, you know, let's look at your nutrition. And a lot of times 99% of times it's an issue with nutrition. A lot of people don't get enough nutrients. A lot of people may overeat, may undereat. And a big thing like in the weight management community, a lot of times people think people that are overweight or big are eating too much. And there's oftentimes I'll look at their food tracker and then realize you're not eating enough. So that's why you have no energy and that's why you're not losing weight. It's different from what people usually hear. It's like, oh, you got to lower your food intake and all that, but you got to know your food intake. So were you surprised once you first started tracking your stuff?
I did. Now, you did say the link with the apps. What apps do you recommend?
Yeah, and that's what we'll go through later in the podcast.
Okay.
We'll discuss them in more detail.
Let's see. For a full day of me tracking, that was this past Saturday, I started tracking all my food. I woke up in the morning, get ready to work. I felt what it seemed to me that I've had a full schedule of food, and I was not so much bloated, but I was just full. I was satisfied with what I was eating all day. I got home, I had dinner. That's when I was shocked at night. It had to have been 7:00. I was done with dinner. I input all my all the numbers into the app just to find out that I was still 1,500 calories away from my 3,000 recommended.
Yeah. So again, I've been hounding Geraldo for a long time to start tracking your food. Once he started, one thing too to keep in mind is anytime you start something, especially when it comes to like food tracking, track what you're currently consuming versus where you want to go. Because you want to understand what you're doing, your intake, your current nutrient level. Then you want to adjust from there. A lot of people will start tracking their food. And again, he's walking 13 miles a day, for example. He needs at least like 3,800 calories. So with that being said, once he starts tracking his food and he comes back and says, oh, well, I only really ate 1,500 calories. Well, that would explain why you're losing so much weight. Then on the other hand, you understand how much protein you're getting, how many carbs you're getting, how much sugar you're getting. So then, when you do blood work and say your sugar's high, you could look at that app and it's like, well, I've been eating all week just junk food. So it's a good way to identify different issues. So again, there's a lot of reasons why you want to do your food tracking. So it's not just weight gain, weight loss, but it's overall health. So it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, one of the things that my wife, the day after I had dinner, and she knows I've been tracking down all my food, it's almost daily now that she'll ask me, hey, it would be like the next following day in the morning, she'll ask me, hey, how do you feel? How did that specific food that we had for dinner last night make you feel? Did it make you feel different? Were you okay? Was your gut happy? And yeah, so far everything that she's still has been cooking has been good to me.
Yeah, that's as we talk always, it's tough. Being healthy is tough. It's very easy to be non-healthy. But so there are benefits to food tracking. Nutritional awareness. This helps assess overall dietary patterns and ensures adequate intake of essential nutrients. Then for weight management, it provides insight into caloric balance and what should not be used as a sole determinant of health. Blood sugar and hormone balance. It may assist with identifying habits, your eating habits that can impact metabolism and energy levels. Also, your gut health optimization. This can help individuals recognize potential food sensitivities and patterns that may contribute to digestive discomfort. and also behavioral insights. This supports awareness of emotional eating patterns and overall food choices. So again, looking at the whole picture, you could look and say, I gained 5 pounds this week. And then you look back and like, well, I had this happen at my job. And then, looking at my food intake, I noticed that, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I had 1,000 extra calories because of these issues I experienced. So again, there's a lot of reasons why you want to track your food in, like liquid intake. So another question for you, Geraldo. When did you first notice a connection between what you eat and your stomach pain?
It was a few years back, but it's just a discomfort. For me, I would eat something literally within an hour to 2 hours later on. That's when I would start feeling the discomfort. And if anybody deals with lactose intolerant out there, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Just the stomach cramps, having to go to the bathroom. It's not a good, whoever's going through it and going through the pain, it's not good for like the next 2-3 hours after that, trying to deal with that, trying to deal with the pain.
Yeah. So should I get you a glass of milk?
No, if it's almond milk, yeah. Even goat milk. So, I don't mind drinking goat milk.
Yeah. So no cow milk, huh?
No cow milk.
Have there been any foods or drinks that stand out as possible triggers?
There are, like, for me, like, I'll still have cheeseburgers with the cheese, and I feel like when it's fake cheese, that's when my body's okay. But when it's like natural, real cheese or real dairy products, I'm okay with that. There's certain things that trigger my body. Like I'll have pizza and I'll have my lactate pills and I'll be all right. But for example, whenever we go to parties and they have the bread is called nothing bundt cakes, I could have a handful of those pills and I'll have that like a slice of cake. That would still go through me.
Yeah, that's no fun. It's not worth eating.
No,
that's for sure.
Correct.
And I think, especially when you deal with a lot of health issues, you kind of realize that there's a lot of things that's not worth having. And you realize, man, I could eat this, but I'm going to be in pain. You're like, forget that. Yeah. You learn quickly, but that's where like food sensitivities come in. Once you start identifying bad foods, it's not worth the risk, and that's why a lot of people get to the point where they're barely eating anything because they're so sensitive to and they don't know why. And it sucks for a lot of people. I've been there with the whole migraine thing to where I think I went years where I was barely eating anything because I was so sensitive and everything would trigger it. And it would cause a histamine reaction, for example, just me thinking about it. And that would just lead to another migraine and inflammation. So yeah, it's, again, we always say the word tough, but it's very tough out there. And it's a day-by-day process, something that's long-term you got to look into and not rush anything. Especially a lot of times it takes a long time to get unhealthy. So you got to understand it may take a while to get healthy. So yeah, so there are different apps we do use. I know we talked about that. Cronometer and MyFitnessPal are the main two. The difference on those two is Cronometer. There's a free version. They both have free versions. Cronometer offers a detailed micronutrient tracking, and it's useful for those who want a more in-depth look for their nutrition. The benefit of this app is it allows you to do an export out of the app. So if you need to provide me or another health coach with an export of your meals and your calories and stuff, you could do that for free. MyFitnessPal is another great app. This provides calorie and macronutrient tracking with extensive food database and bar scanning feature. This one, to do an export, you do have to have the paid version. So that's why I may tell people use Cronometer more if you don't want to pay for the app. But both apps are great apps. So these tools can support informed decision making, but should not be used solely as medical diagnostic tools. So which app are you currently using now, or did you try both apps?
I tried Cronometer the night of Friday night. I must have been inputting it wrong. And I think I had said that I had already ate, I don't know, I sent it to you and I think it was like 3,000, what was it, 3,000
grams of protein.
Yeah, 3,000 grams of protein. And you were like, that's impossible. So then I realized, I was like, oh, well, I had my pizza, but the way I seen it, I had to have, it said a slice of pizza or the whole pizza. I ended up putting that I ate 3 whole pizzas. So that's what ended up boosting that number up. But so then I did everything I was okay with it. And I said, you know what, let me try the MyFitnessPal. That's the one that I felt more connected with, a lot easier. Well, at least for me, it was a lot easier, user friendly for me.
Yeah, when you first sent that, I kind of laughed because I think it's at like 3,500 calories or 3,500 grams of protein. I was like, man, dude, you'd be dead.
Yeah, no, yeah. So as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, maybe I am doing something wrong here.
Yeah, if it said calories, that would have been one thing. But when it said just protein alone, 3,500 grams, I was like, there's no way, especially when it's so hard to eat, 100 grams of protein a day. So yeah, so since you've been using the tracking app, what surprised you the most about your calorie and nutrient intake?
I'm not eating enough. I
Yeah.
am not eating enough. But it's also hard as well trying to I'm on my feet all day. I'm walking. I don't have a microwave to heat up food. So it's like all the food that I pack for myself now needs to be, you know, how should I say it? Like it has to be cold, but just how you had mentioned earlier to me on a private conversation, it was just you could still eat meat and chicken cold as well. So that would be definitely something that I kind of start putting into my lunchbox going forward.
Yeah, wolves do it all the time.
That is right.
No, it got to be cooked meat. So it's a good thing to point out there. But yeah, I definitely like, so let's say 6 months ago or a year ago, normally you're working, you're out in the field. What would you normally snack on?
After my coffee in the morning, it would just be a tiny granola bar, maybe an apple. Before lunch, that was it. Like that's all I was eating. And then once lunch would come around, I'll have my bag of chips. I'll have my sandwich. And at that time, that was when I was transitioning from pop over to either sparkling water, flavored water. But now it's like I'm treating pop as a treat now versus like a daily habit.
Yeah, I just like looking back on my health journey and stuff too, doing a different like organic acid tests and stuff like that too. And I don't want to go down a different topic here of intermittent fasting, but I used to strongly believe in intermittent fasting. Used to do it all the time. I still do it periodically, but when I did my organic acid test, I realized that during that process, my body was starving itself. I was beyond ketosis, not trying to, but just because I wasn't having enough protein intake. So, it could lead your body down a bad rabbit hole for those that are fasting all the time or intermittent fasting. So it's not for everybody. And some people it's great. Other people it really stresses out the body and your liver and stuff. So again, it's important to get, do an organic acid test or eat properly. So one of the things I learned out of that is that, majority of people need to have protein first thing in the morning. So within, 15, 30 minutes of waking, you want to have at least, 15 to 30 grams of protein. So a lot of people don't like, shakes. They don't like, they're too thick, they're too gritty. There are pre-made shakes you could get, Owen's a good brand, for example. It tastes kind of like a milk, very thin. But the downside is, some people do get gassy, but some people don't like protein shakes. So, you have the different people with different diets, but, those on carnivore, those that are vegan, just make sure you get your protein intake. But how do you know you're having an amount of protein? You need to keep track. So at least if you're starting with it and you're having a shake, you could read that shake and say, this one shake's going to be 30 grams of protein, or, this one chicken breast is 20 grams of protein, or this one beef patty has 20 grams of protein. And it's okay to have a bison burger, just the meat itself, before you go to work. So it's something to keep in mind when people run out of ideas, because Western culture, we're used to breakfast and just eating eggs, and that's not always the case. So you could have a burger in the morning if you want, or on the vegan side, the different shakes and stuff too. So same thing, like what would you normally, like now that you see a difference, what would you normally have first thing in the morning? Have you ever ate just eggs in the morning, or do eggs cause issues?
Yeah, no, eggs, I am perfectly fine with eggs. I will implement them more into my morning routine. Boiled eggs. I'd rather eat boiled eggs than having to cook them at home in the morning. So I could start off with like 3 or 4 eggs in the morning. Going forward, I have been taking supplements as far as the amino acid protein. So I feel like that has been helping me out. That's kind of like, as far as, for me, it's some protein that I was not having to begin with. So I know it's helping me in that sense, but I feel like as well I'm going to start implementing more food, more rich food.
Yeah. And again, if you're not tracking it, you may forget days go by. Oh, I don't feel as good, today as I did 3 days ago. But if you're, keeping track of it all, you could look and see, oh, well, on Sunday, it's because I had protein in the morning, and, on Wednesday, I didn't do that. Now I feel horrible. And a lot of times it's not the same day. It might be the next day. So something to keep it, again, that's where tracking comes in. It's important to track that. And so, a year ago, you're eating, granola bar and stuff too, compared to now, say the last, 2-4 weeks. Now, what has changed? You see it? Did you make a change?
Yeah. I'm starting to take now just like a bag of nuts, as well with pistachios, cashews, walnuts, a protein bar now. I'm still taking, I'm still doing my coffee, but now I'm drinking it black. I'm not adding anything else additional to it. But I'm just having more, I should say, more clean snacks for me to be eating constantly all through the day.
Yeah. And I know we talked about coffee on a different podcast, but coffee's not for everybody. We all may enjoy our cup of coffee, but coffee could be harmful to a lot of people with inflammation and maybe caffeine. You don't think caffeine bothers you, but it really does. Same, especially with stomach pains and stuff like that too. Caffeine could be a cause for that. So, the people ask, how food tracking supports integrative health. Well, based on personalized nutrition, this helps individuals align their diet with unique needs under the guidance of a qualified healthcare professional. Preventive health, this may support healthy lifestyle habits usually, but it's not substitute for medical care. Then on the holistic side, this encourages an integrative approach to diet, sleep, and stress and movement. Then also the side of lab testing correlation. Some of us practitioners use tracking to complement lab test results for a more customized approach, but tracking alone is not a diagnostic tool. So you mentioned, Geraldo, unexpected weight loss. What has food tracking helped you learn about your calorie intake in general?
As far as the protein that I'm lacking, the nutritional fact that I'm also as well lacking as well, is just kind of eating more. I need to start eating more, but also I have to be mindful to be eating healthier options. And is it easy for me to just go get McDonald's? Yeah, of course. But then is it going to sit right in my stomach? Am I going to be all right for the next couple hours? One of the biggest things that I've always, at work, we've always had potlucks. Well, not anymore, ever since COVID. But in the morning, they would have donuts, cake, fried chicken, masticholi. They had everything in the morning. And you'll see some of the carriers walk out of that back room with it almost looked like a Christmas tree on how tall of the food they would be eating. And my mind would be like, man, it's just like, that's a lot of food for them to try to walk it off. But now I understand, maybe they already know their body. Maybe that's how much they put in without me knowing. So what was easier for me to go do is just go get a donut. But now that I'm, I feel like I'm paying attention to my body even more now, to trying to focus, I want to be as healthy as I can for my kids to enjoy me even longer.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very easy to snack on garbage, right? And some, I have to say too, especially when I was going, my migraines were pretty bad, is when you go from intermittent fasting and not eating all day, sometimes it's very hard to eat. And when you do eat, that's what causes the stomach pain. So you don't want to eat. And a lot of times that is because your stomach shrunk from not eating. So you get to the point where your stomach's the size of the palm of your hand. And now you're trying to eat and do all this calorie intake and increase your calories. There's nowhere for the food to go. And then when your stomach expands, you get stomach pain. You just feel horrible. So it's one of those things, slow process, slowly increase your intake. It doesn't have to be, you're eating 1,000 calories a day and then you realize you're only eating 1,000, you need to get to 3,000. So you start stuffing yourself with it. You're just going to feel horrible. So it's one of those things, slowly increase, over a course of weeks. Start, okay, this week or this day I did 1,000 calories. Now, tomorrow I'm going to shoot for 1,200, 1,300 calories for this week. Next week I'll bump it up to 1,500 calories. And just go down that route to whatever you feel comfortable with. You know your body, so you have to adjust based on your body. Don't go based on what you read in some report. So if you could bump it up, extra 1,000 calories a day, and that helps you, then go for it. But if that's too much, slowly do it, Add another protein bar and see how that works out for a couple of days. Then it slowly increases to 2 protein bars and, more food. So have you been able to make any adjustments to increase your calorie intake?
Like I said, just packing on more like protein, more snacks, just cleaner snacks. It is hard. At the same time, I just don't want to eat a bunch of garbage. But in my mind, I feel like, all right, well, those are the easier calories for me to get. I could have a cheeseburger, be at least 500 calories. Or I could have, just a handful of pistachios that might not even get nowhere near it, but I know I'm still getting better benefits from the pistachios over a bag of chips, and a cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's where, Geraldo and I were talking before the podcast is I always buy I do eat meat. So for my side is I would buy, the pre-made patties or bison burgers from Whole Foods. And that's what I was saying too on the protein intake. Sometimes, cook them in advance, do your cooking for the week. So you have different meals, but you don't always have to eat eggs for breakfast. So first thing you get up, you can have a beef patty, or a protein shake, or on the vegan side, right, the different shakes and stuff. Spinach and stuff that includes protein and stuff too. So there's different ways to get in your nutrients. It's not always about regular supplements. Focus on nutrition, whole food nutrition. And go from there. But again, it's just as bad eating non-organic for a lot of different stuff, especially when you look at the dirty dozen of strawberries, blueberries, and stuff like that. It's better not to have those if you're not buying organic because of all the chemicals. So they're just going to cause more issues.
I agree. And I honestly don't even know if some people may or may not even wash their berries in like the proper way. They probably just give them a quick rinse. Because I don't remember my mom, growing up, she'll just kind of just give them a quick rinse and that's it. But now and studies have shown there's either you could buy some solution for you to remove as much pesticides from the fruit, or even giving them a bath in the sink with I want to say it's vinegar and baking soda.
Yeah, there's pre-made solutions you could buy too, spray bottles and stuff that have it where you can wash apples and stuff. Because even if you buy organic, a lot of the apples have a wax over them too, and a lot of people want that taken off, and they use that vinegar solution to take off that. And I did read too before where they're saying, like blueberries, you soak them in vinegar first, right, for 10 seconds or whatever it is, then you eat them. It's a lot of work staying healthy, as we always talk about. And how you mentioned that too about washing your vegetables, I'm glad you brought that up. That's how I ended up with a parasite a few years ago. And I didn't know I had a parasite. I was having a lot of bloating and stuff. I was like, okay, I'll do a stool test, found out I had a parasite. And I relate that to years and years ago, I tried going vegan for a couple of years. And I think that originally led to all my migraine issues because I was so deficient in nutrients and my vitamins and stuff. So once I switched back to a more meat diet, my migraines kind of went down. But that's the time when I was like, well, something's causing the bloating. Do a stool test to identify, found out I had a parasite. So, and I know exactly when it occurred because there's a lot of times when I was juicing, I didn't always wash the chard or spinach well. And I just grabbed it, sometimes I'm running late, grabbed it out of the refrigerator, throw it in the juicer. And then, a month later, I'm bloated all the time and having health issues, and relates to having a parasite. And the other thing too is like other countries, they treat for parasites monthly or yearly. And in the United States, we do never look at parasites outside of a holistic or integrative approach, right? You don't see a lot of doctors testing stool samples to see if people have parasites. And you can also take different protocols and stuff to help get rid of parasites. So for me, it was one of those things, okay, well, got a parasite, got to deal with it and just move on. But for that too, it's, there's natural approaches, but you can work with your physician also, go get a integrative health practitioner may, test your stool and say you have a parasite and refer you to a medical doctor for proper treatment. Or there's certain kind of supplements you can take to help, in different areas there too. But still, we work side by side with different, medical physicians to offer an overall, wellness package. So there are common challenges and how to overcome them. One we always complain about is time. That's why there's useful features in the apps for barcode scanning and meal templates to streamline the process. The other one too is a lot of times we may feel guilty about the food we're eating, but tracking should be used as an educational tool, not a source of judgment or stress. Because again, you see that a lot too. I can't believe I ate ice cream. It's okay to cheat from time to time and stuff too, but it's more important to identify the issue and be able to say, okay, I'm only going to have it now once a week versus I had it 3 times this week. So again, don't feel guilty. The other thing is data overload. You got to focus on key takeaways rather than overanalyzing every detail. Again, we're not perfect. We don't expect anybody to be perfect. Nobody out there is perfect. So it's a long process. It's something that takes time. It takes time to get where you need to be. And that's why it's like, don't always worry about what others think or what you're eating and stuff too. Just focus on yourself, how you feel, your goals. It doesn't matter what other people say. So again, it's your health. You got to deal with it. So Geraldo, have you found it challenging to increase your calories while making sure you get enough nutrients?
Yeah, I have, but I am making my own changes. It's just how I had mentioned. It's like, yes, it's easy for me, but I guess I could say it's easy for me to just go get a cheeseburger, but I know it's not healthy for me. So, it's like for me at the moment, I am currently looking for a clean, dairy-free protein shake that I could have. So if I'm in the middle of work and I'm getting hungry and either it's still too early or I just didn't pack enough food, that would be my, I don't want to say my meal replacement for that moment, but it's just, I would need something to kind of carry me over till dinner time.
Yeah, like, a lot of shakes out there that are vegan based, pea protein, outside of, the milk based of whey and stuff. Some people are sensitive to pea. So again, slowly introduce pea, but you may have a sensitivity to pea protein. So again, there's a lot of stuff inside pre-made shakes or just, powdered shakes and stuff too, to where you may be good with whey, you may be good with pea, you may be good with this, but because it has, 4 other ingredients that you don't know, you're having a reaction because sometimes those other ingredients are, if it's a cheaper shake, it may have fillers in there and you may have a response to the filler and it may not be the whey. So it really all depends, but you have to know your body and you know what works for you and what doesn't. So what adjustments has been helpful for you on increasing your calories?
As far as?
Has it been helpful to do a protein shake versus cooking a meal?
I would still have I think I would still have, well, for me that I'm low on calories, I would still have both. I would somehow finish my meal and still have a shake just to kind of get what I need.
Yeah. And one thing on that too, is I would say, make sure you probably separate the shake from your meal. So you have the meal, 1 p.m., have the shake, 2:30, 3 o'clock versus having it right after your meal. Because then you feel overfull or bloated at that point. So slowly introduce stuff throughout the day.
That is for sure.
Yeah, because I know you want to increase your calorie intake, and have you tried and then you just feel horrible because you ate too much?
Yeah, Saturday night when I was still 1,500 calories low, we had gone to the store and I told the wife, hey, let's go get a cheeseburger. That to me was my quick fix, but I ate it, but I knew it may or may not have come with consequences. It didn't, luckily for me, but still, it's like, I know there's better options out there. If I would have made more dinner that night, I could have just gone back home and ate. If it was just the ground beef by itself, or had 2 dinners, the dinner that I had before we left and the same dinner I'm going to have again when we came back.
Yeah, I would say like, especially fast food, like their cheese is disgusting. Like if I have to eat fast food and I do, again, we're not perfect, but when I do, it got to be a hamburger. I can't have a cheeseburger. I tried one time, just not too long ago, and man, was that disgusting. And you could tell it's such fake cheese.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible. And when I do go Whole Foods, sometimes I'll buy the real cheese from Wisconsin and stuff. It's more expensive, but you could taste a huge difference in the cheese. Like I buy a block of cheese, or they're like pre-cut blocks from a different provider. And I'll snack on those once in a while, 2 cubes, 3 cubes a day of the cheese. But yeah, some of the vegan cheese is really good too. So, Whole Foods has a lot of good vegan cheeses, and some are so good. They're like smoked mozzarella. That's awesome. But so there are practical tips for success. Track meals consistently while maintaining flexibility. Use data as a guide rather than a strict rule book. Integrate tracking with other healthy habits such as physical activity and stress management. I know you know a lot about the physical activity on your side, Geraldo.
Yeah.
And again, consult with a qualified health professional for individual recommendations. So, Geraldo, if someone else has experienced similar symptoms, what advice would you give them based on the experience you have so far with your tracking?
I would send them a link for those two apps for them to start tracking it for themselves. Like I said, it is an eye-opening. I guess I could say it's an eye-opener for them, because then if they're dealing with what I'm dealing with as well, but they don't know why, and they may or may not also be male carriers, they could take a look and see, hey, I'm walking just as much as he is. He's experiencing the same exact things that I'm going through. Maybe I might have the same issue, and that's, the apps would definitely confirm that, hey, well, you know what? Whatever snacking you're having all day is not enough. There are carriers out there that don't eat all day. And I know they stuff their face at home, but while they're on the route, it's just water and drinks, but there's no food. And it's like, to me, that has always been a surprise, because since I started working there, I've always had packed a lunch with me.
Yeah. So how did, just on another topic here, just based on, food in general, how did your health struggles affect your mental health? Like just not enough calories, or you just going down that rabbit hole, right? You're not eating enough. You're starting to lose weight and stuff. How has that affected your mental health?
Oh, it has affected me. I don't want to say a lot, but it definitely puts a strain in your mental health, because now, well, why can't I put on weight? Do I have an illness inside of me that still hasn't been tracked down? Those are the biggest things. And it's like, okay, well, I'm eating everything under the sun, but I'm not gaining weight. What's the deal?
Yeah. Did you have a practitioner tell you all the time, dude, it's not anxiety, and you're not having any major health issues. You're just not eating enough. So you're doing too much walking, and you gotta check keep track of your calories and stuff, so we could look at that. Because that was the first thing I thought of was, man, you're walking 13 miles, and if you're not eating enough, think of somebody exercising nonstop all day long at the gym and decide, well, I'm not going to eat for a month. Of course they're going to lose a lot of weight, right? They're going to put damage on their body. And same thing, if you're not eating enough and you're doing all this exercise, what does that do long term to your body? Where does it go? Because you're being, malnourished at that point.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask you for today.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, from your research, from your studies, from all your learnings, how would you think somebody that's mineral and vitamin deficient, and they're just kind of slowly running themselves to the ground, how would that affect them mentally, physically?
The sneaker bar commercial, right? Everybody knows the sneaker bar commercial, hangry, right? Everybody, you don't eat enough. You don't realize it's affecting your mood. But how many people with low calories, or you're on a diet and you're very angry all the time? So that right there tells you it affects your mood, right? And then a nutrient side, you start developing, I have knee pain, or next thing I have brain fog, or I have all these other issues taking place, and it's because you're lacking the proper nutrients. And so a lot of people, again, it's all about education. A lot of people don't know. And people hear things all the time, and there's so much false information out there. I mean, you see that in TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. That where people talk about everybody should intermittent fast. We found out, that's not always true. And then the other thing too is people, especially in the Western world, don't need a multivitamin. That's very much false. Because you hear that too is like, oh, well, only third world countries are nutrient deficient. Very false. So it's one of those things. I would tell people all the time, as I told you, and if you were my family member, I would say at a minimum, make sure you're on a good multivitamin and mineral supplement. So, at least you're getting a portion of your nutrients. It may not be all, and you may need targeted supplementation, but there's no way people are eating perfect to have the proper nutrients in their body. So that's where supplementation comes into play. And supplementation is not always forever. Sometimes it's till you get your levels up and you have a proper, diet, then you're good. But for others, they might have to be on supplements forever. But again, we focus on, hey, let's test. Let's see where you're at currently. Let's do the proper nutrition. You're right. Let's adjust your diet. Let's look at your food intake. Let's, eat more vegetables, eat more meat, eat protein, and then go from there. And then, let's, you may still need a multivitamin or a B complex or a vitamin D. And then, later on, 6 months, let's retest and see if you still need this stuff. And at some point, you could get off certain kind of things, right? So it all depends. Each person's individualized, so it really goes based on each person. So just because I hear this all the time, oh, I saw this supplement on TikTok, should I take this supplement? My question is, why do you need to take that supplement? All right, what's your symptoms? Do you have a condition? Did you test and it says you're malnourished in this area? Are you taking a multivitamin? And, there's a lot of false information, again, just to sell a product. So again, if I'm recommending a supplement, it's due to, testing or symptoms you have, but just don't blindly read because some, 15-year-old or some 70-year-old put on TikTok, hey, buy this gummy, it's great for you. And then if I look into that, I say this gummy's like garbage, contains nothing but fillers, and 95% of people in the population do not need that form of supplement. But they did not know it and just seeing it based on this kid saying this thing. And next thing they're buying it. And this guy's a millionaire and he's spreading a lot of false information. So really do your own research too. You don't have to take even my information, to heart, but still based on just what I say or somebody else says, research it and go from there.
I got another question for you.
Go ahead.
At work, I see a lot of people walking in, drinking energy drinks. If they were to replace it with an alternative or a supplement, is there anything that you could think of from the top of your head?
Well, the first thing I do if a client comes to me and says, I live on energy drinks, the reason is why, right? A lot of people it's because, I have no energy all day. Well, let's look at the root cause of that. I can't think or I can't concentrate. Okay, well, what's the root cause of that? Energy drink's not fixing that, right? It's giving you energy for a short burst and stuff too, but that's not fixing the root cause. We got to look at the root cause. So brain fog, like we talked on last podcast, is it candida? Is it based on your diet? There could be a lot of causes for brain fog or low energy. Again, another one for low energy is the food side. Well, what's your calorie intake? And then we find out, well, I have no energy. Well, because you're not eating for energy. And that is a great book for those out there too. I forgot the author's name, but there is a book called Eat for Energy. It's a great book by another doctor that kind of goes into why nutrients and nutrition in general is important. So something to look into, but a lot of times you need to eat for that energy. And a lot of people are not eating enough calories. They think they are, or they don't want to eat because they don't want to gain weight. Or, they heard from this person, oh, you're eating too much or you shouldn't do that. Focus yourself, again, keep track of your food. Then you could truly identify if you're eating too much, you're not eating enough, and go from there. But just don't listen because somebody said, hey, you're eating too much, you're not eating enough.
All right. Well, I think that's all I have for you for this episode. I'm sure me at work seeing things, if some of my friends have questions as well, these are the stuff that I like to ask here because I'm here with a professional.
Yeah, so we say. No, so listener, let me see how many sent in. So we have 10 here I pulled out. So let's go over listener question and answers. So question 1 came in. Do I track my food every single day? Yes, tracking is a tool of awareness. It doesn't have to be used daily, but it can be helpful periodically to assess habits. Like I told you, Geraldo, I said at least keep track, 2, 3, 4 days, just so you could see, man, can't believe I'm not eating enough, or man, I can't believe I'm overeating.
Just with the one day alone in the beginning was an eye opener for me. I was shocked.
Yeah, I tell people all the time though, just keep track for a few days. I mean, it could be a pain to keep track of your food and stuff, but you're not going to understand what your body's doing and stuff and, your intake unless you keep track. So even if it's writing it down and you're looking at packages, do it. And that could solve a lot of your health issues out there. Just keep track of your food. You might be able to do that on your own. Keep track of your food and say, hey, I'm not eating enough. I found this. I'm not eating enough protein. You have any questions again out there, feel free to email us and we'll help answer questions about any of this stuff. But again, keep track on your own and then you might be able to make adjustments yourself without even using a practitioner or a coach. Question number 2, what if I eat home cooked meals and I don't know exact calories? So this is common. So there on the tracking apps, you could use those to estimate portion sizes and ingredient breakdowns, but recognize the accuracy may vary. So again, the app's not perfect, but you just want a general ballpark number of calories you're eating. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're making a Spanish meal with all these herbs and stuff too, or Indian meal and stuff. You kind of think, well, I put, cumin in here. I put this in here. I put this in here. Well, just do your best guess on there. Get a ballpark figure. It may be a 1,500 calorie meal you just had, but technically it was 1,600 or 1,400, but you're in the right ballpark. So number 3, can food tracking help with food sensitivities? So this may help some individuals identify patterns, but again, working with like a practitioner should be consulted to proper assessment to really identify your food sensitivities. But it's we could do food sensitivity testing, but on the other side, if you don't keep track, it's very easy to forget what you ate the days prior. Especially, I know we talked about food sensitivities can take 1 to 5 days to really create a symptom in your body. So, like I did with my migraines, I may have ate something on Sunday and then Wednesday develop a very bad migraine and thought, oh, it's something I ate on Wednesday, but it wasn't. It was something I ate on Sunday. And it took time to learn that. But I found out, for example, Sunday I snacked on almonds. I didn't think I had any sensitivity to almond. Well, Wednesday came around, had a bad migraine. Finally, when I did food sensitivity tests, I realized, hey, I can't have almonds, right? Almonds is, I'm very sensitive to almonds.
And I like all that, like from pistachios, regular, like I guess like the bar nuts, cashews, walnuts, those are all my favorite. And thankfully, I know I haven't had any reaction or any issue to nuts like that. So hopefully it stays that way as I get older.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know to do a food sensitivity test, and it's not that expensive. It's worth doing just to see what's causing inflammation. And again, a lot of times you just want to remove a food, say for 3 months, then you can reintroduce it. And a lot of times, Dr. Cabral's a great guy out there that kind of talks about the rain barrel effect. So if that rain barrel's full because you're eating so much bad that it overflows and now you're having all these symptoms, but now you do go through food sensitivities, you identify foods causing issues, you stopped having those food for 3 to 6 months based on elimination. And then you try now almonds. Oh yeah, I could have a few almonds, right? And you could say, hey, I could have it in small amounts, but or like some people, certain foods, right? They could have, on the Indian side or, the Asian side, there's, a lot of spices and stuff. They have spices every day, a lot of stomach pain, but they realize after eliminating even on the Hispanic side, you eliminate spices for a month, then it's like, oh, I'll just have this spicy food and you're okay. But then you have that spicy food twice that week and now you don't feel well. So again, it's your body. You have to learn your body. no matter what I say or Geraldo says, what works for Geraldo may not work for me and vice versa. So you always got to be individualized, learn from your own body, know your body. Just like when you go to a medical doctor, you know your body the best. They do not. They're just kind of there. You got to tell them what's wrong, how you feel, and they could try to adjust it. And same thing what we're doing here. So another question, which app is better for weight loss? MyFitnessPal is commonly used for calorie tracking, while Cronometer provides a more detailed micronutrient breakdown. However, weight management is multifaceted and it should be approached holistically. So there's a lot that goes into this. Again, your nutrition has a lot to do with it. So keep track of your nutrition, work with a health coach or practitioner, and we could get you on track. Number 6, how do I avoid feeling restricted when tracking food? So initially, when you first start, track everything. So you want to just understand what you're consuming, on the liquid side and on the food side. Track everything. This way you can make adjustments based on that. Don't try to be perfect the first day and it's like, oh, well, I need to add this. I need to eat more protein. Then you're not going to know what you've been doing and why you had those symptoms before. So identify the bad and then let's change it to the good. So view tracking as an informational tool rather than a rigid system. That's another question for you. Did you feel restricted at all the first day you used it? Did you think like, man, I gotta change something?
I ended up measuring and weighing everything the first day, as far as like I had a yogurt parfait that I made at home. And I noticed that for the app, it was already pre-selected for, I think it was like a quarter cup. And that's what I normally eat already. So I feel like once people start getting more comfortable with the apps and like all like the weigh-ins and stuff, they'll be like, cool, that's already what I do now. I don't have to change anything going forward. Tomorrow, the second, third, fourth day, they already know this is exactly what I had to eat. I didn't change anything. I've been eating it like that. So then it becomes more easier and easier to understand the app. Not much restrictions or anything. It was just trying to figure out how much I was taking.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. And that's where it goes. You may not have to use that forever, right? Identify your different patterns and stuff like that too. But we'll just say there's a 45-year-old female that exercises all the time, always perfectly healthy, no issues. Suddenly she starts having stomach issues. She keeps track of her diet for, what she's eating and drinking for, 3-5 days. Then she's, keeps tracks of that and decides, I'm going to eliminate this. This is the only new thing I've been having. Eliminates that, then no longer has the symptoms. Then she don't really have a point in tracking her food anymore. So it's like you could just use it sparingly when you really need it. But there's different reasons for it. But food tracking is a great tool. So listener question number 7, can food tracking improve my energy levels? So it may help individuals identify patterns or potential patterns, but energy levels are influenced by many factors beyond food intake. But again, that's a good start.
That is true. I was able to get more Saturday morning. I guess I could say I had like a more heavier meal in the morning. And I did notice that I was a little bit more alert. I had more energy. I was more upbeat at work versus just kind of walking around trying to figure out, why do I feel lightheaded?
Yeah, it's a tool just to add to your arsenal. Something more to use. Listener question number 8. How long does it take to see results from food tracking? Tracking can provide immediate insights, as Geraldo mentioned here. He was kind of shocked that, hey, I'm not having enough calories. But sustainable health improvements take time and require a comprehensive approach. Again, that's where it comes in. You could start initially on your own. You still need help. Reach out to a health practitioner. That's what we're here for. Listener question number 9. Do I need to track water intake too? Well, yes. This is very important too because hydration is important to overall health. So tracking water intake can provide awareness to daily hydration habits. Some people there's different hydration apps out there that you could use too. I forget their name, but you could use a hydration app and it'll alert you, whatever time you set it up. Hey, it's been 1 hour, make sure you drink. And then it'll, vibrate your phone or send an alert, and you click on it and drink water and then put it back in there to where you get on a habit of drinking all the time.
I'll definitely check out that app, because I know in the summer when it's really, really hot, that's when I could go through 1 gallon of water just within the, I want to say 7 to 6 hours that I'm in the street.
Yeah, it's another tough one. It's you have to force yourself to drink sometimes, but and don't overdo it with just water without electrolytes. That's how we saw so many people get dehydrated. They drink 2 gallons of water, but they're super dehydrated, no sodium left in their body, passing out all the time. Coming to find out they're dehydrated from too much water. So, important note there, utilize electrolytes in your drinks. Final listener question number 10, what's the best way to stay consistent with tracking? I would say develop a routine that's manageable and use tracking as a guide rather than that rigid framework, that rigid tool. Again, it's not for perfection, and sometimes it's hard to manage your stuff, but do what's ever best for you. Do it when you can. Try your hardest to keep track and then go from there. So a quick health joke I got for you, Geraldo.
Okay.
What happens if you boil a funny bone?
I don't know.
It becomes a laughing stock.
I got one for you. What kind of doctor is Dr. Pepper?
What?
A physician.
Yeah, see? There we go. Got other doctors out there too. Oh yeah, it's been a good episode overall. So,
for sure.
So let's close this out in thoughts. So again, food tracking is a tool for awareness and education. It's not medical treatment. It provides insights into eating habits, but it should be also used in conjunction with a holistic approach to health and understand the guidance. It's still, you want to be under guidance of a healthcare professional. Find a health coach out there that could really help tweak your diet. But like we said before, it's a good tool to use. At least start with it and then see if you need help. And if you need additional help or you're not getting better based on doing it on yourself, feel free to reach out. Again, it's not, when we come to like integrative health, we want to focus again on like a 3 to 6 month commitment because it takes time. And we want to slowly roll out different approaches, see how your body reacts and adjust, monthly. So it's not always about testing. A lot of those people that cannot afford a certain kind of lab test, there are, based on your symptoms, we could look at that and say, you experience these, again, weight loss issues. Well, let's keep track of your food. Weight gain issues, let's keep track of your food. Let's start there. Same with migraines. Let's keep track of your food. Bloating, same, keep track of your food. Let's at least start there and go from there and adjust it and say, oh, well, now you're increasing this. Now let's take these kind of supplements to help you, better overall approach. So at Mindful Objective, we emphasize on informed decision-making, as I discussed, and a balanced approach to nutrition and wellness. So if you're looking for support, we offer educational resources and guidance to help you make empowered choices. Quick reminder, and it's a quick medical disclaimer, this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. We do not diagnose, cure, or treat any illness or disease. We do not treat. You would be treated by your physician, your medical doctor. For us, we're subclinical, so we work with you on different protocols to help fine-tune your body. Again, we look for root causes versus other people, treating symptoms. So just remember that. So thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Follow us on social media at Mindful Objective for more health tips, or visit our website at mindfulobjective.com for additional resources. We appreciate you being here. And one final thing. Do you have anything else to say, Geraldo?
Just thanks again for having me on. It's always fun figuring out what people and myself could do to kind of better our lives.
Yeah, it's again, we always say it's tough. We're not perfect. Things take time. So don't feel bad. You're on a diet plan, you're eliminating food. You have a couple of cheat days. We're human. That's what we do. So you just pick up where you left off, that, like they say, you dust your shoulder off, get back up, get back on that horse, start over, and go from there. Again, you have some time, so focus on that, but do, what's best for your health, for your family. And again, that analogy I always say, if you can't afford to be sick, no, I always say it wrong. My own analogy. if you can't afford to be healthy, you definitely can't afford to be sick. So something to remember.
Ain't that the truth right there?
Yeah. So it's an expensive world we live in. And, try to buy healthy, try to do it the best you can. But sometimes you just need a little help and support. So again, we're here to answer questions. Feel free. You could go to mindfulobjective.com/podcast, fill out the form, send us a question. We'll discuss the question on air. Not a problem. And if you need general help, you can email care@mindfulobjective.com, and one of our health coaches will reach out and help you any way possible. So again, we appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next time.